stuck on Orchard, in between Orchard and 45 on Spring Hill for about 15-20 minutes because of the cars going all over the place. Not only that, about 10 minutes before, her nephew was trying to get to his parents' house. They're an elderly couple, they had health issues, and they were turned away. They were told the street was blocked off. Okay? Now, I know I had mentioned before, if we needed emergency services, and in this case, thank God that they were not sick. They were not sick at the time. But nothing would have been able to go up Spring Hill very quickly to their house, which is their house is Orchard is right at the T with Orchard. Okay? They would not have been able to get emergency services there. And it lasted well over an hour because we were there. I was stuck there in a car for 15-20 minutes as we were trying to get down halfway from between Orchard and 45. And no one else was able to get there.
I assure you, Mr. P, that if there was an emergency and emergency services needed to have access, the police, fire, ambulance would get there.
Well, the son could not get to his parents, and he wanted to get there to see if they were okay.
And again,
I think that is wrong.
I'm not aware of it firsthand. You say that you are. I don't know if what you're hearing is first, second, or third hand, but I assure you that for emergency purposes, that police, fire, and ambulance, God forbid, that need to get there, they will have access.
Okay, I just want to let you know it lasted more than an hour.
Thank you. Anyone else? It should be, before you go back a second time, somebody who hasn't spoken first. Thank you. Everyone will be welcome to speak, but at least everybody gets one shot first.
Right? Still on agenda.
Basically, my name is Tony Averso, 40 Wilshire Drive. Whoever runs a parade, are they required to have insurance?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Halpern.
I guess you know who I am.
David
David
Halpern,
Halpern,
please.
20 Midway Road. I just had a question regarding the sidewalk installation. Two questions.
Oh,
really.
sure.
The first thing is the $125,000. Is that contract already been awarded?
The bids came in a little over the bid amount, so the village engineer is in the process of reducing the scope, so that if we can reduce the scope and not compromise the project, we'll go forward up not to exceed $125,000.
Where's the money coming from?
It's free money from Assemblywoman Ellen Jaffe.
So it's coming from the state, right? Correct.
That's correct.
Because then the budget doesn't reflect that.
That's because it's not in the budget. It's not a budgeted item.
It's not a budget item.
It's not coming out of our pocket.
It's not a grant.
It is.
It is
a
grant.
grant from the
This
state
says
of
it's
New York.
a grant, but that has a zero thing next to it.
That
Just
doesn't
a
reflect that.
discrepancy.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, is this intention just to fix those sidewalks which are in the Howard Crescent area? Or is it the expansion of the sidewalks?
There's no expansion. Okay, now we're going to get a little background because I think again folks are a little. Folks did not have the benefit of what happened with this project. I was not at the meeting and I apologize for that. I was the mayor all for about 20 minutes when I started having my Sundays with the mayor. And a resident in the village who's been a resident in the village for about 15, 20 years lived on Howler Crescent. And he said, you know, Mayor, when they constructed this portion of Howler Crescent 10 years ago, they did not do a very good job because the curbing was starting to fall apart, the road was starting to fall apart, and it didn't look like it was lasting as long as it should. So, again, he was already in the village for 15, 20 years, and we're talking about 5 years ago, so now let's say 20 years. So I had the village engineer look at the job, look at the area, and he said, unfortunately, whoever the contractor was way back then did not really do such a great job. Okay? The road didn't have the base it needed, the curving, the sidewalks, whatever the case may be. So my question to the engineer was, what would it cost to make that area look like it was supposed to look? So he reviewed, he estimated, he said about $125,000. At the time, Assemblywoman Jaffe had, who periodically we will speak, and she said, by the way, if there's any particular projects in the village that you would like to pitch, I'm all ears. So, it was a year or two after that this gentleman spoke to me about Howard Crescent that I asked her about this and a few other existing sidewalks in the village, which would have ended up costing us approximately $385, close to $400,000, if memory serves me correct. We only had $125,000. And since this was a job that had to be corrected, that's how it was identified. So that's the history behind the construction that's going to go on Howard Crescent.
Thank
You're welcome. Name and address for the record.
Renee Barrigan, 43 Summit Road.
Good evening, Ms. Berrigan.
How are you? I just have a question about the parade. The fireman parade, there was emergency postings along the trees and everything of where the path was going to be. Is that going to be the law from now on, like wherever there's going to be a parade, that there's going to be postings like on trees or?
The sponsor of the event is going to be providing notice along the route of the event.
Okay.
That notice will be reasonable notice so that it doesn't impede upon their constitutional right to do what they want to do, but at the same time show some courtesy and consideration for the neighbors in the area.
Okay.
It's part of the application that they
Okay.
have to give. The application has to be filed 20 days before the parade. So there's a notice to us, the mayor, that a parade will occur. And part of that application has to include how they're gonna give notice to the neighbors,
Okay.
right? And we would have the ability to tell them
Okay.
that's either not adequate or we want it done differently. But it may well be just posting in the area, it may be letters in your mailbox, although some people don't like letters in their mailboxes. And that could be an issue because you're opening up a mailbox and you shouldn't be doing that. So, you know, however they're gonna give notice, they have to do that. And hopefully it'll be adequate for you. If it's not working out, you tell us and we'll try to fix it.
Okay. I was just wondering what the exact postings were, but if it's
The-
a piece of paper or a mailing or.
Right, it's going to be something that you're going to know.
I mean, they can mail it to you, actually.
Yeah, that's what I was
without
wondering,
putting
if they
it
were
in
gonna be
your
given like
mailbox. Mail it
addresses,
to you.
you know, and through the post office and mail it.
I want to cover
Okay.
the violation of the
Thank you.
US
And
mail.
I actually, Mr. Verso, I owe you an apology back there. We did not have the sponsor of the event post the bond, which would be insurance and things of that nature, because there you run into some constitutional ramifications as far as having to have somebody pay
Right.
in advance for insurance or posting of a bond. However, what we do request is an initial deposit of $500 to issue the permit in the event that there was some type of cleanup or things of that nature. From a liabilities perspective, God forbid they run the event and they damage property or they damage whether it be personal or private property. If it's public property, then that's a potential legal matter that the village and or whoever owns the public property would have to look into. And if it's private property, again, you're going to have the sponsor of the event, so that if it's something that's private property that's damaged, that individual will have access to whoever sponsored the event to go after them as far as whatever remedies are available to them privately. So I apologize for my quick answer to you. While it doesn't have insurance, there is a security deposit as far as at least cleaning up the immediate area. However, from a liability insurance perspective, their insurance law will kick in. So I just want to correct the record accordingly. Ms. Kogan, name and address for the record.
Hilda Koga, 20 Pine Knoll Court. I just want to ask about the Howard Crescent, which I am in favor of because I've taken a couple of spills there. And I wanted to know if it included Whitefield, you know, the streets within the Crescent, or just the horseshoe?
You know, I apologize. I don't have the because this has been kicking around now.
Yeah.
It's taken about a year to
The
get the
interior
money.
streets
So,
are a mess too.
so if anything, if you don't mind, maybe if you can call Lisa tomorrow morning,
Yeah.
she can tell you for sure.
Okay.
But-
Yeah. All right, that's all I want to know.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the agenda? Okay, Mr. Lievelson, you're back. I'm sorry, Mr. Mallory, you can follow Mr. Lievelson.
I apologize for being out of order earlier,
No problem, no apology.
but I do seek clarification for the record right now that the text of the law, as you have it on the website, nowhere specifies any number of days or any unit of time for the minimum written notice to people, residents on the affected street. There is the 20 business days, that's right, but that is for the application for the permit. So the text of the law
You are-
has no explicit requirement that that sponsor has to notify residents within any period of time. They can do it a day before. Is that true?
The exact language is as follows, Mr. Lievelson.
Yeah,
At a minimum, written notice of a parade or procession shall be provided to the residents along the route of any parade or procession.
which means they could do it one day before.
That is correct.
Okay,
However, the application will be in Village Hall at least 20 days before, and then that's going to be something that will be hopefully discussed with the event sponsor.
you're saying that it'll be up to the board to sort of decide?
No, I'm not saying that.
Then,
I'm not saying that.
then
As
what?
as a matter of courtesy and as a matter of logic and as a matter of common sense, when the sponsor of the event comes in and fills out the application, they're going to see what the law says. And then we're going to be able to get from them what they think they're going to be able to do as far as notice is concerned. However, you're missing the fact that we have to be very careful with regard to the law as far as the type of constraints that we could put on these type of events. Okay, Mr. Lievelson, I hear what you're saying. You want to have as much notice as you possibly
Not as
can.
known, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying some minimum amount of
And
notice.
understandably so.
Specified.
Understandably so. Thank you.
And I still don't understand, I don't, the reasoning.
The
you're
law
giving-
is what the law is, Mr. Lievelson. Thank you.
Right.
That's correct. Yes. I'm sorry, name and address for the record, please.
Darren Hamilton, 31 Simon.
Good evening, Mr. Hamilton.
I guess I'm going to be piggybacking off of the talk about notice. If a permit has been approved by the village, is there any way that the village can probably put some kind of notice on their website to say, okay, we've okayed this event? And though the sponsors are responsible for notifying the neighborhood, we can at least say on our part, we know that this event is taking place, and for marketing or whatever reasons, we can say that this event is taking place on this day because we know, the board, that we approved this permit. Is that possible?
Well, Mr. Hamilton, we discussed that. From a logistics standpoint, I don't know if I want to necessarily have our staff having to now become responsible to assist in the event sponsor with regard to this type of thing. As a matter of course, and as a matter of convenience, and it's usually fact sensitive. We may be able to do that as a courtesy, especially if it's going to be something that's going to be village wide. If we're talking about something that's just going to be a street or two, I don't think we would probably do that. And Trustee Miller actually kind of brought out the fact that during the application process, we could politely recommend to the event sponsor that they don't obviously wait till the 11th hour to notify the neighborhood with regard to the event. Again, we need to tread lightly, as I've been trying to say for a while now. But again, I understand, and look, in my neighborhood too, I had 3 days' notice, I think, before the event passed by my house, and that was appreciated. I would not have liked it 2 hours before, and I can understand that. But the long answer to your short question, I don't know if meaning the village, should take on that responsibility of becoming another mouthpiece for the event sponsor. I think that's their responsibility. However, if it's something that the village feels again, on a fact-sensitive basis, that it probably be prudent to notify the village, we would probably do it.
So, based on, I just want to make sure I understand this correctly. So, it could be any event, regardless of who's sponsoring it.
Right.
The village would be, deciding whether or not if they want to decide, take part in the marketing or the promotion
Look,
of this.
Mr. Hamilton, I have to be kind of candid with you. If there's going to be a Little League parade on Eagle Street to Lark Lane to Wren, I'm probably not going to put that on the village website. I'm not going to do that because I don't think it's appropriate. But if there's going to be an event that, again, similar to the Fireman's Parade or similar to the extent that it is going to be involving a good portion of the village, I probably would put that on the website as a courtesy to all. But as I mentioned, I am not looking to become an appendage of the event sponsor to assist them in notifying the event. That's something that's their responsibility and that they're being made aware of. And if they don't, there are penalties for that. There are penalties for that. Thank you, sir. Anyone else on the agenda? All right, at this juncture, I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion on the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Thank you, Trustee Miller, for the motion. Thank you, Trustee Cohen, for the second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, there being none, thank you very much. Okay, at this juncture, we will move forward with the public hearing on the tentative budget. Minutes, I'm sorry, yep, jumping ahead, sorry about that. Motion to move the minutes of February 22nd, 2018. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Rowe.
I'll second.
Thank you, Trustee Valentine. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, there being none.
One abstention.
Let the record note, one abstention.
He's abstaining because he wasn't there.
Just
Just so everyone understands.
Thank you for that clarification,
There's
Trustee.
nothing nefarious about this.
No nefarious.
When you're not there, it's pretty hard to vote on approving the
No
minutes.
nefarious. You got it. Okay, at this point, we'll open the public hearing on the tentative budget for the fiscal year January 1st, 2018 through May 31st, 2019. I had made mention at our last meeting that we stayed within the 2% cap. As far as, we do have our financial consultant here if there's any particular questions with regard to the budget itself. After all is said and done, the average village tax bill of $500 will see a $10 per year increase based on the tax increase. So that would be under $1 a month with regard to the increase. Again, we appreciate the fact that the staff, our financial consultant, was able to bring in the budget the way they did. We did recognize revenues with regard from the court, with regard to various building permits and fees and things of that nature, which assisted the village. Again, we thank the staff for doing that, and that's how we're able to bring in the budget the way we did. The staff is getting a 2.5% increase, but for our deputy clerk and our clerk, they've gone over and above what they've been doing. Not that the other staff doesn't work just as hard either, but they were given 5% increase with regard to their salaries. Other than that, there's been none of the trustees, myself, any of the board members, there have been no increases with regard to that. So all of the staff, but for those two, got 2.5%, and the village attorney also. Are there any questions from the public with regard to the budget? Now, what will happen is, we're actually going to, we would adjourn this public hearing until April 26th, and that would be the time that we would actually adopt the budget. In the event between now and April, there are any changes or any questions. However, if you have any questions or anything of that nature, now